Theresa May has been warned of an immense constitutional crisis if she goes ahead with a key Brexit bill without devolved government's consent. Welsh First Minister Carwyn Jones said the repeal bill, to convert current EU laws into UK law, was a naked power grab which he could not support. He has joined forces with SNP leader Nicola Sturgeon to oppose the bill, which ends the supremacy of EU law. Downing Street says it is optimistic of getting the bill into law. But the Prime Minister also faces a battle at Westminster, when MPs debate it in the autumn, with Labour promising to vote against it in its current form. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn is demanding concessions in 6 areas, including the incorporation of the European Charter of Fundamental Rights into British law and guarantees workers' rights will be protected. The bill needs to be passed by the time the UK leaves the EU, which is due to happen in March 2019. Otherwise the UK will be left with no laws in areas previously covered by EU-derived statutes. Brexit Secretary David Davis rejected claims ministers were giving themselves sweeping powers to make changes to EU laws as they are repatriated, as Labour and the SNP claim, and he is willing to work with anyone to get the repeal bill into law. He has also claimed that no powers currently exercised by the devolved administrations will be removed, in a bill which he says is mainly technical in nature. But in a joint statement on Thursday, First Ministers Nicola Sturgeon and Carwyn Jones said they couldn't support the bill as it stood, arguing it would return powers solely to the UK government and Parliament and impose new restrictions on the Scottish Parliament and the Welsh Assembly. Speaking on Friday, Carwyn Jones said the UK government could not be trusted to keep its promise to hand powers back to Cardiff and Holyrood after Brexit. Asked whether it was not the case that, legally, the UK government could go ahead with the bill anyway, he told BBC Breakfast. If they did that, there would be an immense constitutional crisis because it would go against everything the UK is based on. It would also mean all the words they have used so far are worthless. David Davis and Boris Johnson have both said the consent of the devolved parliaments will be needed, so their words are absolutely worthless and they are prepared to override something that has been in place for 18 years. But he later struck a more conciliatory tone, telling an Assembly committee meeting that Welsh Secretary Alan Cairns had assured him that they would work together to make the situation acceptable and it was possible to retrieve matters. Mr. Cairns said he was taken aback by the criticism as the Welsh government had been involved in drafting the repeal bill. A Downing Street spokesman said First Secretary of State Damien Green had contacted the devolved administrations in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland and the government was confident of gaining their consent. The Conservatives are relying on Democratic Unionist Party support to win key votes after losing their Commons majority in the general election, but could face a revolt from Remain supporting backbenchers. Conservative MP Kwasi Kwarteng, a ministerial aide to Chancellor Philip Hammond, conceded the passage of the bill would be difficult but downplayed newspaper reports claiming more than a dozen Tory MPs could rebel over aspects of the legislation. He told the BBC's Daily Politics the government was more united than commentators were assuming and there were also Labour MPs sympathetic to its position. Outgoing Lib Dem leader Tim Farron, whose party is seeking to join forces with Labour and Tory rebels, said he was putting the government on warning, promising if you found the Article 50 bill difficult, you should be under no illusion, this will be hell, he said. But Mr. Kwarteng said Mr. Farron has his own agenda and was not really in a position to talk about guerrilla warfare as he had quit after failing to make real headway in the general election.